Welcome to the Sports Betting Preview Show, a pregame.com podcast. This is Marco D'Angelo along with Vegas Runner. We're here Thursday Night Football. We're going to preview Miami, Carolina, NFL Network. Vegas Runner, as you always do, tell us with the numbers.
All right, Carolina opened up as a 3.5-point home favorite with a total of 45, but only Chris opened it up at 45, Marco, and right away they got blitzed on the under. Money from the wise guys, and I'm talking within a 2-minute span they went down to 43.5. That's where the rest of the offshore books opened it up. As of this morning, Carolina's -3 but -130, so you're getting even money on the dog, and the total's 42.5, so even more money's come in on the under from the wise guys, and it looks like, you know, they grabbed the 3.5 on Miami, which they usually do when you know, you got 3 and a hook out there.
When I looked at the game and writing the lines down in my book, the first thing that jumped out at me, the way Miami's scoring points.
Yeah.
And they brought the total out. I mean, even bringing the total at 45. I mean, both these teams have been scoring points, but Miami's been scoring in clusters. Then for it to be bet down, I mean, what do you make of that?
More importantly, I looked at like the scoring defense too. Like, okay, they've been putting up points, but has their defense been allowing points? And looking at these two teams, Miami is 28th in scoring defense, and Carolina's 23rd in scoring defense. So they're giving up a lot of points too. I was a little surprised by that total as well. But when I dug a little deeper, I think what the reasoning behind it is that Miami on the road hasn't been doing as well as they have done at home. They're averaging like a touchdown less scoring-wise. And more importantly, when they haven't got off to a quick start, this team, I think, has averaged something like 4 or 5 points in the first half. So it's one of them games, I think, that they're expecting, because these both are one-trick ponies, they both run the ball. You know, neither of them have a passing game. So I think because of that, the running game is the reason for the dip in the total, that they don't think we're going to see an air show. That's what I think the reason is.
Carolina actually has a passing game. It's just generally to the wrong team.
Yeah.
So I mean, going back to the Miami and the Wildcat offense, they have scored 25 or more points in 5 of the last 6 games. And as you said, you know, the key in this game is both teams are the running game. In Carolina, they started out the season dismal.
Yeah,
I mean,
terrible.
they were horrible. The turnaround for them has been, they got the running game in gear. I mean, Carolina's last 5 games, they've rushed for 182 yards or more in 4 of the 5 games. I mean, that's going to even make a guy like, you know, quarterback that's average, going to make him good.
Sure.
When you can run the ball, then all of a sudden things start working off play action.
Oh, yeah.
You can run screens to stop the blitzes and stuff, and everything just starts working. And Carolina has been doing better, you know, in the last 4 weeks as opposed to the first 4 of the season. The low total, though, this just boggles my mind that they came in and bet this thing under. One factor, and we talk about this in college football, and I want to get your take on it. Miami runs a gimmick offense. Let's face it. It's, you know, the Wildcat. Everybody's trying to do it, but nobody runs it like Miami. Because Miami actually, it's a staple of their offense. They've put it in. They spend a lot of time, you know, training camp each week in practice. I mean, this is an integral part of their offense.
You don't see it twice a half. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You see it a lot.
So my thing is, when we talk about in college football, and the 2 teams that come to mind are Georgia Tech and Navy.
Yeah.
Okay, they run, you know, a different style of offense, and teams that don't face them have, you know, trouble preparing for them in 1 week. Here's an angle that, you know, I think that it's an important point to look at this game. They're playing on a Thursday. They only have 3 days to prepare for this offense.
That didn't even, I'll be honest with you, I didn't even look at that. I looked as far as preparation, but it didn't even cross my mind about the Wildcat, and that's
so, you know, Carolina is something that you don't see because they're not a division opponent. They're in the other conference, so you see them even less.
Sure.
How much preparation can Carolina squeeze in 3 days to be ready for Miami? So I think coming in fundamentally, Miami's going to have an advantage on that aspect of it. But I agree with you with this Miami team. The Wildcat and this team plays better from being ahead.
Yeah.
They're not a team that plays well from behind.
If they start slow, that's what I meant in the first half. If they start slow like they've done on the road, you know, that's why it could turn into a lower scoring game, because they're not successful airing it out. I mean, they're 30th in the NFL in passing. What really stuck out to me is the contrast in defenses. You look at Miami, they're a great rushing team, and they're great against the run. You know, they're fourth in rushing, they're seventh against the run. But they're terrible passing, and they're terrible against the pass. On Carolina's side, it's the opposite. They're terrible at throwing the ball, but their defense is good against the pass. They're great at running the ball, but they can't stop anyone. They're 25th in rushing defense. So this is going to be one of them games where, is Miami going to try to exploit through the air? Are they going to break out of their natural habits? Or is Carolina going to try to be successful through the air, something they haven't been able to do all year, because they're not going to be able to have success running against Miami? So you're looking at a contrast in defenses and styles as you're going to get.
Well, one thing I would say as far as Miami being good against the run, if you're in practice all week
against the great rushing, exactly,
that's got to improve your.
And you're right, Mark. That point stuck to me on a couple games we're going to preview this week, and it usually goes together, man. You know, it correlates perfectly. Usually, teams that are great in passing are good in stopping it. If they're great in rushing, they're good in stopping it, because you're going up against the best. You know,
every week.
If you're going up against Tom Brady, you're going to be a lot better against the pass than a team that's going up against Brady Quinn every week in practice. You know,
absolutely. The one thing that I will agree with you about the Carolina side, if I'm Carolina and I'm John Fox and I'm game planning for this game, I think, even though my running game is clicking the way it is, I think I got to come out and try to make a couple big plays early
and get Miami on their heels.
You want to get Miami out of their game, because if Miami's able to grind at you and get this into a game where they're playing with the lead or tie or 3 down,
at the half.
It's a situation that's going to play right into Miami's hands, and their offense is perfect for it, because
stick around all game.
Because they grind it out, and I mean the Wildcat puts up a lot of yards and a lot of points, but they move down the field, methodically.
Yeah, unless he breaks a 60-yard run, it's going to take some time to get down there and score. You're absolutely right.
This is a tough ball game. Looking at it, my first reaction, whenever anything that jumped out, nothing jumped out to me as far as taking the dog or the favorite in this game. I'll break that down further, but I got to admit, the fact that the wise guys jumped on the under early, and it's a TV game.
Right.
To me, and you've said it 100 times, they really like the under, because the public was not going to come in and bet the under.
Absolutely not. Absolutely. Not even at 45, I don't think they would have bet under. I mean, you might have got a little more balance, but now at 42.5,
right.
I mean, even though last week's San Fran-Chicago game might have put a little doubt in their head, because we're used to seeing NFL Thursday night games fly over. That was the trend going in. That's why everybody loved the over last week.
Unless you have Jay Cutler involved.
Yeah, exactly. It throws it to the wrong team. And I think you're absolutely right. This is a definite true steam play, where the wise guys did take a position and say, hey, 45's too high, 44's too high, 43's still too high. So they really like this under. I agree with you totally. The other thing that stuck out to me is how mediocre both these teams are. They're playing their best football of the season, winning 2 of the last 3, but they're 2 mediocre teams at best.
Well, there you have it. I mean, you got the Thursday night game in a nutshell. Should be a good game. We got to wrap up this first segment. Vegas Runner, thanks for your contributions. This is Marco D'Angelo. Be sure to check out all of our other videos this week. We'll be previewing
some good ones.
6 games, 3 on Saturday, 3 on Sunday. Check out those videos as well. Thanks again. We'll be back shortly with another video.